So here we have the homepage for Bluebeam Cloud, which you can access by going to app.bluebeam.com in your web browser. And that will take you to the sign-in page for the app. And going into here, make sure you select the correct region, hit sign in, and you'll be prompted to enter your Bluebeam ID. If you do not have a Bluebeam ID, you can create one. Yeah, get my go. It's pretty straightforward to create an account. And once you've created your account, you're taken to the Bluebeam Cloud workspaces page. And from here, you can manage your files, manage your projects. From this space over here on the left, you have my workspace and then projects. All right, you can sync your projects from Studio. So I have a project that is already set up over here. See, this is my cloud webinar project. I've got a few documents in here, and I want to add this to the cloud so that other users can collaborate. What is the difference between Bluebeam Studio and Cloud? That's a great question because there is some overlap there. Hopefully, the content of this webinar, we can see where that overlap is, and where one would use Bluebeam Cloud versus Bluebeam Studio. And if there's any additional questions, of course, I'd be happy to clarify at the end. So I have my project all set up, and from my projects interface in Bluebeam Cloud, I will hit new project. We'll call it, I already have a webinar project, so I'll just want webinar project 2, very creative. And if I click through into that project, I'm taken to the project dashboard. So first it's asking me for my name, which I will enter thusly. It looks all good to me. And since there's nothing in this project, it looks completely empty. So the first thing I'm going to do is I need to add some documents. And so to do that, if I click on this upload drawings button, it takes me to the drawing upload page. And this is where the Studio integration comes into play. So instead of doing upload drawings, which I can do, I can upload drawings from my local machine directly, or I can click on import drawings. And I have two options. I have from integrations or from Studio. Now, there are some built-in integration capabilities with Bluebeam Cloud, which I'll go over in a second, but we're going to do from Studio in this case. And what that does is that lets me access my list of Studio projects over here. So I'll go ahead and I'll select my Cloud webinar project. And I'll select the only folder that's in there right now. Select it. There we go. Confirm selection, and it will upload all of these files. Yeah, David. David is asking, can Bluebeam Cloud handle geolocated PDFs when placing in the map view? The answer is that currently, if there's any geolocational data in the PDFs, it will not carry over into Bluebeam Cloud. I do know that that's something that they are working on, but currently that information gets scrubbed in somewhere in the upload process. I'm not sure the technical details of that, but yeah, that does unfortunately does get doesn't carry over. So now that my documents are uploaded, I can click on Ready for Review and just take a look and make sure that everything looks good. I'm going to get rid of this little 1 parentheses. Just call it 2. Just make that a little bit easier. And if I wanted to add additional disciplines for each of these, I can do so as well. In this case, for my door schedules, I will make those, let's call those general. So you can change your discipline here. And if there's any revision comments, you can add them in the upload process. So hitting publish will publish my drawings. So here they are. If I go back to my dashboard, now you can see that they are available for access here. And if I click on any of these files, it'll open up right in my browser window. Now, this is someone asked what's the difference between Bluebeam Studio and Cloud. In this case, take for example someone working in the field, right? Maybe that you don't have access to your desktop PC or laptop, or you want to access drawings from a mobile device. You can do that with Bluebeam Cloud. So any machine with a web browser, you can log into and get access to your drawings, as well as any of the comments or markups that are added. All right. So one of the things that's neat about Bluebeam Cloud is that you are able to bring your tool sets from Bluebeam Revu into Bluebeam Cloud. So if you run Bluebeam 21 for the first time, you'll be prompted to upload your tool sets to the cloud. If you are not given that option, you can go to open up your tool chest, and there should be an option somewhere there. I don't have it since it's already uploaded, but there should be an option to upload your tool sets to the cloud. All right. So if I go back to my cloud, if I click on this tool chest icon on the left-hand side, I can see I have all of the tool sets that I had in Revu are available here. Not every kind of markup is able to be carried over. For example, measurement markups currently cannot be placed in Bluebeam Cloud. You can view them if they were placed already, but you cannot create them. The markups that you have available to you in Cloud are over here on the left. So we have regular Cloud, and then the other shape, so Cloud, rectangle, ellipse. We have the pen tool, text box tool, arrows, and then we have callouts and Cloud Plus, as well as highlighter and pen and image markups. So you do have most of the markup tools that you have available to you in Bluebeam Revu carry over to Bluebeam Cloud. Really, the only ones that are missing would be the measurement-related markups. Someone's asking, are you able to make a stamp that can be reused in Bluebeam? Good question. So in Revu, you do have the option to use stamps, but the stamps do not carry over to Revu Cloud yet. So it's another one of those caveats to be aware of. So I can place a cloud markup here. So I already have it selected. So we place a Cloud Plus around this guy. Make it a little comment. Call it check this out. Isn't this cool? Well, I didn't write that, but so, and you can modify these markups just like you would in Bluebeam Revu. Of course, you don't have as many options as you do in the standalone application, but you can see this panel up here. I can change some of the appearance settings. So for example, I can make this one blue, change the outline, or that's the text color, sorry. This is the outline, here we go. And I can change the line width. Now, in the standalone application, you do get, like I said, you do get some more options. For example, you can change the style of the cloud. You can change the size of the clouds, things like that. So you don't have as many options as you do in the standalone application, but you are able to make markups just as easily. So we can move this around. And when I'm done, I can back out and that drawing will be updated for any future users that come in and want to take a look. So you might be familiar with Bluebeam Studio sessions where multiple users can be marking up a document simultaneously. The same is the case for documents in Bluebeam Cloud. So if someone were to go into this document and create another markup, this will be updated almost instantly to reflect that. So it's not as, it doesn't have as many of the tools that sessions have, but you are able to collaborate in virtually real time, just as you would in a studio session. Okay, so we also have the ability to create RFIs and punch items right in the interface over here. So these two little buttons. So if I click on this button, it will prompt me to create a punch item. So let me zoom in a little bit. And we'll put a little punch item right here. This is in the women's restroom. Check sinks. And you can add assignees if you had multiple users in the project, which you probably should. You can assign them to a particular user or group of users. And if you have any photos, let's say you're on site and you wanted to add some clarifying photos, you can upload photos right here as well. So if I hit save, now I have this this item. It's got like a little screen grab of the location of the punch list, and I can set a due date. So set that June 30th, and that's still available. You can see that in your dashboard. If I refresh the page, there we go. Active punch items, one in my dashboard, so I can click on that. And it takes me right to the page where I can review any multiples of punch items that I have. And it's just giving me the tutorial. It's really nice of it. Now let me back out of this this project, and I'll show you one that has a few more items. And I'll just use the other webinar project. So you can see this one has some geolocational data. So again, like David asked, this data I did not pull from the document. I had to add that on my own. But from here, you can see I have a few more punch items to review. And you can review those all from within this page. And so that looks good. We change that one to closed. And that updates immediately over there. Now we can also create a report of your punch items by clicking on this generate report button up at the top. So you have the option of PDF or Excel. And you also have, just like you do in the markup list in Bluebeam Revu, we can select columns to display, as well as filter by any of the available fields. Right, so I can filter by location, status. If you have status information in your Bluebeam document, for example, if you created a custom status, this state model, and added custom columns, those would carry over to any documents that are uploaded. So if you take the time to set that up, you have that available to you in Bluebeam Cloud. All right. So going to the RFIs section over here on the left, this is where you can see all of your RFIs in your project compiled. So here I have one asking about light fixtures. So clicking on that, I have the option to create a official response, or I can add some discussion items over here. So I can forward this to other members of the team if they need to comment, send a message, ask them for any further information that they have on these light fixtures, and they would hopefully respond in a timely fashion. Of course, we all know that that's debatable. So if I do a create official response, I can say approved, looks good. It's very official. Send that, and now my RFI is closed. All right, just like you can with the punch list items, you can filter. You do not have as many of the options for filtering, but any of the columns that you see available to you, you can filter by. So David is asking, do drawings of Bluebeam Cloud have a size limitation? I.e., what if I had a roll plan that was a combination of multiple cut sheets that was hundreds of inches in size? You know what, David, that's a good question. I'm not aware of any size limitations as far as document size or file size. But of course, I have not admittedly pushed the boundaries, so to speak, on what Bluebeam Cloud can handle. So from what I know, from what I understand, there is no limit. Of course, we all know in practical terms that there is always some kind of limit, but I haven't hit it yet. Okay, so going back to my project dashboard, one of the things that I can do is if I go to settings, now I have this option to export project data. So if I click on this, now I have the option to bring it back to Studio projects. And so let me go back to my other project, the one that I just uploaded. So I already made that change. Remember on this document, I put a little cloud guy on that and a little punch item. So let's push this project back to Studio. So export this to Studio projects. I'll select all of the data. And it asks me which project to push it to. So I'll check this Cloud Webinar project, which is the one that I created it from. And so now it will export all of that data back to the Studio project and update it thusly. All right, so someone's asking, is there a way for Bluebeam to read the drawing title and number from the PDF so I don't have to rename each of the 150 plus sheets when I create the PDF? Can Cloud read the room name and number from the PDF when creating a punch list? Oh, that's actually a great question. I'll kind of answer it in reverse once this finishes exporting. But one of the things that it can do is if you've set up spaces in your document before you push it to Cloud, it will use that as the location when you are creating your punch list items. So I can show you how to do that in once this finishes uploading. Go back. Surely it will be done soon. All right, so I'll just close that for now, and then it should update shortly. It might take a minute since since I'm on the webinar, it knows and it will slow it down intentionally. So I'll use this opportunity to mention that currently that there are some integrations built in for other document management systems, so you can connect directly to SharePoint, OneDrive, Box, Dropbox, Google Drive, and Ignite. I believe more of those are on the way, but these are the currently built-in integrations that you can use with Bluebeam Cloud. All right, so let's see. Hopefully this says updated. Let's see. Let's sync. Okay, so I got a Bluebeam Cloud export.zip. Okay, come on, open it up. Now I have these sheets. Right, export this back to Studio Projects. This is going to actually just make a zip a zip file, then you would have to re-upload it to your project in order to keep it synced. So that is one of the drawbacks of one of the pitfalls of Bluebeam Cloud is that currently you do need to kind of be on top of whether you're doing it in cloud or studio via projects. Otherwise, it can get a little bit dicey with constantly uploading. So sorry about that. David, another question he's asking: what are the requirements for users to see their location on a PDF in the map view in Bluebeam Cloud? For example, if a user is on a laptop going through a browser with a cellular connection, will that work? Or do they need a Bluebeam Cloud app? That is another good question. If you're using the Cloud app, it will be able to pull GPS data from the device. However, if you are using a laptop or a machine that doesn't have as exact GPS syncing, then you may have to just go to the dashboard and you can add the address. So I know it's not exact, but it can give you an idea of how it looks. All right, Sean's asking: a major problem for architects in the field is punch listing prior to Wi-Fi access being established. Yeah, that makes sense, right? If your building isn't constructed yet, then it probably doesn't have Wi-Fi. So is there a workflow that works with Bluebeam Cloud, like checking out our downloaded sheets that will work without Wi-Fi? Yeah, that is a great question. So if you are using the Bluebeam Cloud application, either via your iPad or iOS device, or even a web browser in the laptop, then you can open up your drawing and you can work on it. And then when you do have connection, it will push the changes back to the cloud. So the whole idea of Bluebeam Cloud is to make that whole process a lot more straightforward. It is a kind of a limitation if you don't have Wi-Fi or cell service, for example. But you can open up the drawing when you do have connection, and then work on the drawing. I think you do have to have connection to download the drawing at some point, right? So it does take a little bit of anticipation, right? I don't know of a way that you could get a cloud drawing if you don't have internet access at any point. So you're gonna have to do that at some point to grab it, and then once you're on site, you'll be able to add markups to the drawing, add punch items to the drawing, and then that would be reflected in the drawing when you get a connection again. So I did want to show the spaces. So I believe that's, go back to my other project where I have a little few more drawings. So if I open up this guy, so this one has some spaces that were set up. You can see that these different office spaces all are different spaces. So let's make a punch item. Let's make one in. Let's make another one in this men's restroom in the storage area. So if I click there, you can see that it's already located the location as men's restroom, and then I can add any information I wanted to in the punch. So let's do the same with like the conference room. So location is office. So I did set up the spaces. All of the blue space is office space, but you could be more exact if you want to. Really, it's just about how much you want to break down the space into the different defined spaces. Renee is asking if I would consider Bluebeam Cloud to be a capable replacement for review for those running Mac OS, especially with end of life for Apple device support coming up at the end of the month. Renee, if I'm being honest, I would say that no, I would not consider it a replacement for Revu on the Mac OS. It is definitely like a stopgap, or it's better than nothing, right? But since you can access it in your browser, but I would not consider it a one-for-one replacement at all, because really these are the only tools that you have available to you. You don't have measurement tools like you do in the standalone application. You don't have the full markup list like you do in the standalone application. So I would say it's more of a complement to the desktop app, but I wouldn't go into it on Mac thinking that it's going to be a one-for-one, unfortunately. So it is, again, it's definitely better than nothing, but it is not a full-on Revu replacement. Yeah, can you use a phone hotspot when there is not Wi-Fi? Yes, absolutely. As long as you have some kind of internet connection, you can access Bluebeam Cloud. So, of course, it's going to depend on your wireless speeds, but if you do have a connection, then yeah, there shouldn't be a problem to access Bluebeam Cloud. So someone's asking, if you are on site without internet connection, can you still assign out markups and punch items to members on the team? Once internet is obtained, will update on the other users' end? That's a good question. I actually hadn't tried that, because I know that when we select this punch item, right, we can assign it to someone over here, right, and then it would pull the list of people to assign it to from the document or the project information, right? So in order to test that, I would probably have to disconnect, which would not be good for the webinar. So unfortunately, we can't do a live test on that. But my assumption would be that it pulls that information as part of the information that it downloads when you open that, and hopefully that list would be maintained. Of course, any changes to the list wouldn't be updated, but I would believe that it takes a snapshot of whatever the options for this dropdown would be, and then has that in the cache of whatever it's downloaded. But I can double check that and get back to you, and we can see how that does work, because that is a very good question. It's very common use case. And yeah, it makes sense that you want to be able to do that. So one of the last features that I did want to go over in Bluebeam Cloud is the ability to create submittals. So this is a just kind of another method of gathering information from your project members, right? So a lot of times you have different project members. Everyone has different expertises, and you want to get information from one on one thing or another. This is a good official way to do that and keep track of all of that information. And if there's anything missing, you'll know who's missing it, who's responsible for it. So let me create a new submittal. So first, I will add the spec number. So in this case, we'll call this, a 1. And if you had set up, the different specs, you can select the spec section here. But in this case, I'll just do a submittal category. So this will be for, let's call this a shop drawing. And I'm going to say, need drawings for light fixtures. Okay. And then I can add the responsible company. This doesn't necessarily pull from any that you set. So I'll just say this is Microsol. Whoops, cannot type today. Big fat fingers. So you can set a due date for it. and then a due date for the reviewing of the submission, and any required lead times or any dates for being required on site. You can enter here. Those are not required, but you can add them. So hit save. Oh, what am I missing? Don't know why I can't save that. I have all of the required items. So maybe it's this. No. Okay. Well, Bluebeam Cloud just had to find a way to sabotage my my webinar. So anyway, I'll answer some questions while I try to figure out what's up with that. Can multiple page drawings documents be published? All the examples appear to be single page PDF files. That I can answer. Yes, you can absolutely upload multi-page documents. For example, like we have some documents here. These are some spec sheets. And this comes through as a multi-page document, so you can navigate it for here, or you can click on this little arrow guy, and this is kind of like the thumbnails panel equivalent in Cloud. Right, so you certainly can work with multi-page documents. Yeah, one thing I actually totally glossed over this. Betty's asking, is there read-only access? Yes, absolutely. There's a full suite of permissions and being able to invite different users and put them on different teams and groups. So if I go over here to my team button, see here I have just the two users, very small team. But for example, here I am as the project lead, and I am in admin permissions level. But this user over here, we can see is at member permissions level. And then we can also add additional users as just viewer permission level. So obviously admin level has the highest level of access. Being able to invite users, assign users, put them into groups, upload drawings and documents, manage those drawings and documents. As a member, you don't have nearly as many of those options available to you. You can open documents, but you can't necessarily edit them unless you have the permission to do so. So like if I click on this user here, I can change his permission level to admin or to viewer. If I wanted to, if I wanted some assistance with the admin stuff, you can add additional administrators as well. And you can also create different groups for your users. So you can create, an engineering team, an architecture team, design team, however you want to kind of break that up. And then you can use that to assign an RFI or punch item to that entire group. David is asking, can you add viewers who do not have a Bluebeam license? That is a good question. You can add them. They will only be added as viewers. So they can only view the files. They will not be able to, do RFIs or punch items or submittals, but they can, access the documents. You will kind of lose out on the full suite of tools in Bluebeam Cloud without a license, but you can certainly access the documents. What is the difference with Bluebeam Studio, as you told us at the beginning? Yeah, so the big difference is that Bluebeam Cloud is browser-based, right? So Bluebeam Cloud you can access if you have a web browser. So if you're not at your home computer, if you're not, or if you're on site, you can access it via your mobile device. This has an iOS and an Android app that give you a lot of the tools that you have here. So that's the main difference, right? Currently, Bluebeam Cloud and Bluebeam Studio, as you might have been able to tell before, where I tried to upload this back to back to a studio project. The integration there is not fully fleshed out yet. I do know that the intention is to, have that be a lot more, kind of one-to-one, where, you can create a cloud project from your studio project and have that be synced up. Currently, it is not. So there is a little bit of, I would say like definitely there's some, overlap between the two. I would say that right now, the main use case for cloud would be for devices that are in the field and for mobile, mobile access. So, in Bluebeam Revu, as we're seeing, right here, you have a lot of tools available to you. You can, for example, you can add a image markup and then take a picture with your camera if you have one on a webcam or whatever. That's not always possible on site. You can't, be bringing your laptop necessarily to, the site and taking pictures with the webcam on that seems a bit cumbersome. But you can do that with Bluebeam Cloud. So I would say that that's the use case mainly right now. It would be being able to share documents with users that are not using the desktop application, or maybe don't have access to the desktop application at wherever site that they are visiting. So yeah, there is some overlap, but I would make sure to know that they are like distinct products. You're definitely getting a lot more tools available within Revu, but Bluebeam Cloud is just another option for being able to distribute and share those documents. I hope that cleared things up. If it didn't, I know it's not like super clear because again, there is a lot of overlap. But if you want further clarification on anything in particular, let me know. I'll try to do the best I can. I will say that like until Bluebeam Cloud, starts to incorporate a lot more of the studio project features, it is going to be sort of limiting as far as what you can do. But I think that there are specific use cases where it can be useful. Like I said, in the field and for mobile devices. Renee's asking, similar to Revu, are devices with ARM processors unsupported by Bluebeam Cloud? That is a good question. So currently, yes, you can use Bluebeam Cloud on ARM devices like the Surface X, or I think there was another one that I'm totally blanking on now. But yeah, yes, since you can access your web browser via those operating systems, then you should be able to access Bluebeam Cloud. It is not processor dependent, so you can run it on one of the new Apple computers with the M1 chips, or M2, I think they're up to at this point. It is not dependent on the x86 architecture in order to run. So again, that's another one of the use cases for Bluebeam Cloud. It's not a one-to-one replacement, but if you do have a Surface X, you can access Bluebeam Cloud via the web browser and add items that way. So that was a good question. Let's see, any other questions that we got? Yeah, any other questions, feel free to ask them in the Q&A box. And I'm going to go ahead and share my here. Okay. So let's see if we can get this cloud export.zip, see what's up with that. So if I go to my settings, export project data to studio projects. Okay. All right, I think I might have messed up something here. Okay. I think that was it. So I selected the entire project, so it zipped it up and pushed it to the project. What I should have done, I just clicked on this and did export. whereas I should have gone into the project, and then I could have selected my sheets, then exported, which should have done it. Renee's follow-up question, will Revu eventually support ARM devices? Well, I can't speak for the development team at Revu, but I do know that it is on their radar as more ARM devices start coming out. I don't think that the ARM device releases have been as much as maybe was anticipated a few years ago. I do know that it's on their radar, but currently they are focused on the main application. I think the intent, and again, this is just my opinion, and kind of trying to read the room a little bit, so to speak, is that Bluebeam Cloud, I think they intend to make that be the catch-all for Mac devices, ARM-based devices, mobile devices. That way, they're not necessarily developing 4 different applications, like for Windows, Mac, an ARM version, and then a mobile version. I think the intention is that eventually Bluebeam Cloud will be that tool that you can use on those different architectures in order to have the same or similar tool set that you would in the standalone desktop application. So I think that's where they're going with it. And again, this is if you remember from the disclaimer in the slideshow, my opinion. It doesn't reflect the roadmap for Bluebeam, et cetera, et cetera. Are free users able to get into Bluebeam Cloud and markup drawings? No. If it's a free user, will only have view access and will not have markup access. In Revu, when I have multiple tabs open and access thumbnails or properties, the flyout window covers the first tab. How do I get it to shift tabs over when the flyout window opens? Oh, I think this is a question on about Revu. Let me see if we can answer it. When I have multiple tabs open and access thumbnails or properties. All right, so let's open up, I guess, another tab. Another tab. Here we go, and you open up the properties. It covers the tab. Oh, do you mean it covers the? You know what? This might be something that we can take offline with your specific situation. We can troubleshoot. I'd be happy to do that. If you would like to shoot me an email, be happy to jump in and take a look and see what's happening. All right, and so we've got about 5 minutes left. Or actually, my clock is a little bit fast. Sorry about that. So we actually have 8 minutes left. But of course, if there's any questions, this is a good time to ask.
Hi, David. Thanks for doing the presentation. I know you've been answering a lot of the questions that came in already too. So just wanted to find out if I know there's a few of them still up there. Wanted to find out, did we cover all of them? I know David had a question, about the geolocated PDFs.
Yes, I believe I touched on that. But basically the question was, if I have a geolocational data in my PDF, and I upload it to Bluebeam Cloud, will that carry over? The answer right now is no. Bluebeam Cloud does not currently read that information. However, it's that metadata is stored in the document, the PDF document. I'm not sure of the technicalities of the process, but that information does get stripped in the process of uploading it to the cloud. Whether I'm not sure exactly how that happens. But somewhere in that process, it loses the geolocational data, and then you would have to reset that within the project. So
I see. Is there a
Yeah,
limitation only on complete or core versus I don't think they can do that in basics, right? Yeah,
you
yeah.
can't. I don't think I think it's a limitation of the platform currently. It is something that they are. I do know that they're working on it. Because you can add geolocational data to your project, right? But if you already have geolocational data in your documents when you upload it, it doesn't carry that over. Like I would have to go into here and add, address for the project and everything, and then it would have that GPS data, or sorry, not GPS, the geolocational data.
Got it. I understand. And there's a question here, maybe from Michael. Michael, if you can hear this question, somebody has a Studio Prime subscription with a few hundred seats, and they want to limit the Review 21 users with a free version to simple markup tools. Is there a way to give free users access to more advanced markup tools, possibly with their Studio account, without requiring them to purchase the software?
I guess what they could do is sign up for a version 21 trial, right, David? And that would give them the complete version of Bluebeam, which
But it's only for 30 days, if I'm not mistaken. It's not
yep.
meant longer than that. So it's not a sustainable thing.
I would say that if you invite them to a studio session, they will have access to all of the tools within that session. So, if you wanted to, I'm sure that there are use cases outside of this, but like, if you wanted to share, certain documents with, other outside users, you can put those documents into a session, invite, those third party or, anyone outside your organization into that session, and then they'll be able to access the full suite of tools, but only within that session. And that's, that's been the way the studio's worked, since its inception, I believe.
Okay.
So that would be my suggestion in that case.
Okay, so use sessions instead. And again, David, I also don't know where you got your license from. I'm not sure if you're a client of ours. Maybe like Michael can chat with you later on, because sometimes a lot of those licenses were purchased in different times, different locations. So it might be best to review all the licenses, make sure that they expire at the same time, and being able to manage how you assign it to the users, right? So I encourage you to be in touch with Michael and David later on. Maybe that's something we can assist. Yeah. Okay. So that's what we're discussing, David. Yes, we would discuss it offline.
Oh, I know. David's always got the good questions. I love it.
I know. So in review, when somebody had said when they have multiple tabs and access thumbnails and properties, the flyout windows covers the first tab. How do I get to shift the tabs over when the flyout window opens?
Yeah, it should happen automatically. I think that's something that we might have to take offline, since I'm not sure exactly how it's appearing on their screen. Since it should, it should push everything over. Right, but it might be, maybe it's one of these settings within the window options, and that might be getting in the way of it. But I'd be happy to take a look at his issue offline.
Okay. And then there's another David, a different David, who asked about the Bluebeam license and viewers who don't have license. As our David said, try to use the review sessions, but if you have other questions of that, you can use trial or contact us directly if there's another.
Yeah, and if you just want to give someone view access, you can simply invite them to Bluebeam Cloud, and then they should have a just viewing access for the drawings. So no markup, no RFIs, no punch, no submittals, but you can view the documents.
Sounds great. And I think that's what Betty was referring to as well. Different question, same thing. Okay, and you told us about the Bluebeam Studio, right? So Bluebeam Studio, just to clarify, is no longer around.
No, that it is
no?
still around.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I apologize.
Yeah, no, it just highlights that it is not, it is a little
It's
bit
not a
confusing.
cloud.
So
Yes.
yeah, so there's a lot of cloud tools. Bluebeam Studio isn't going anywhere currently that I know of. I haven't said anything, but I don't think it's going anywhere. But Bluebeam Cloud is kind of like like an additional tool in case you can't use the full-on Bluebeam application, because Bluebeam Studio you can only use within the Revu full-on Windows application, right?
Got it. I think I was getting it confused with the Studio Prime. Is Studio Prime still around?
I think Studio Prime is still around.
Around as well. Okay.
Sorry
about that. Yes, perpetual license versus subscription. We're also confused ourselves as we still do this transition. Sorry about that. Can multiple page drawings documents be published? Is this answered already?
I believe I did answer that.
Okay.
Sorry, I tried to answer them as or mark them as answered as they come in. I must have missed that one, so I apologize. But yes, you can use multi-page documents in Bluebeam Cloud.
Okay, and we spoke about like access on site. When you have Wi-Fi, you can use your mobile devices. Would you consider Bluebeam Cloud to be a capable replacement for Revu for those running macOS? macOS questions, especially with EOL for Apple device support coming at the end of the month.
Yeah, I believe I touched on this as well, but just to reiterate, I would not consider it a replacement for Mac, for a Mac version. Again, it does not have all of the tools that the standalone Revu application has. It's definitely a serviceable option if all you have are Mac devices, to be able to at least work with the Bluebeam, in a Bluebeam workflow, but I wouldn't say it's a full-on replacement just yet. But again, like I said, I think the intent is that eventually Bluebeam Cloud will not replace the Revu desktop application, but will have a lot of the features available, and on any device, right? Whether it's Linux device or a mobile device or Mac device, you'll have a lot of access to, a lot more tools than you would otherwise.